Hey everyone, welcome to the stream. I hope everybody's doing very well today. So I just want to check in on everybody first. I'm gonna just um uh check everybody in the chat and see if you guys can hear me. So I'm gonna ask this question right away before we start. So honestly, if you guys can hear me, tell me in the chat. Honestly, right now, I'm gonna be honest. So if I check my description, I said in the description, I really don't talk about tech in this channel, and well, I do, but it's not to the extent of like computers or like um or like anything relating to like well, like what people used to have in like the old days. But I really I I do talk about tech on the channel, but like I said, I I don't really talk about like, MP3s or, anything else. Hey, how are you? Because I hope you're well. Oh, that's good to know. That's really good to know. Um, so I'm gonna just talk about um Windows. The Microsoft Windows, the system, the system that we're all familiar with, that we've had since like the 1992. And honestly, I've heard quite a bit of things about this, and um, the thing is, my opinion kind of changes with these things, and um, what I really, what I really kind of really kind of justify, I really want to try to say is that my opinion kind of changes, and the Microsoft Windows operating systems have changed over like the course of its beginning. Like we've we've gone from the traditional like graphical user interface back in Windows 1.0. And then as like 3.1 came around, we started to kind of see a transition period where we have Windows, the little bitty things that we're familiar with today, and you know, we got that, but we didn't really know what we were doing in Windows 3.1. But then, like the next operating system that came along, Windows 95, which was a big change for everybody, which was a very big change to the for the science for the technology industry. Uh, Windows 95, if you don't remember, it was like in 1995, which should be obvious, but um, it was released around August of that year, August 24th, 1995, and we got the introduction and the start menu. The little graphical thing that we have here. I'm probably gonna show like a little sneak peek, but um, let's see. Let me get my my display capture here. So let's see here. And okay. I'm gonna just take out my face for a bit here. Don't get scared when I take out my face. I'm just adjusting a few things here and there. But um so here we go. So my face is gonna go out for a bit, but you can kind of see. So um here is the Windows interface. So like we have the start menu, which was introduced in Windows 95. This was taken out in Windows 8. Windows 8, the original Windows 8, not 8.1. The start button was a thing in Windows 8.1, but there was a big start screen interface that was that that was in place at the start menu. So in Windows 95 we had this, and with the little icons here, the start menu changed quite a bit over the years. And let's see if I can find some Windows start menus here. Those start menus. We have the Windows 11 start menu. So we're going to go all the way back. So we're going to do Windows 95 start menu. We're going to start all the way back from then on. So as you can see, this is what it is. Uh, if you cannot see here, here's the Windows start menu. So it kind of looks kind of little. If you so this is a little interface. So there's your programs, there's your documents, there's your settings, anything that that is useful here. You can find here in the start menu. And there was different folders that corresponded with the different things you had here, like your documents. If I go to my documents folder, so if I go to my documents here, so let's see. Let me go to a document here. Actually called File Explorer now. Um, so let's see. Let's go to one of my videos here. So we got Banjo-Kazooie. So here are all my files. So this is what it is. So like if you have a folder that pertains to something, you can put it in a folder here. Same with what we got here in the picture. We got your documents, the documents that you have in the directory here. But then, as you can see, like in 98, it didn't change at all. 98 didn't change at all, barely at all, to be honest with you. Windows 98 Second Edition, you can see it's still the same start menu like it once was, especially like back in 2000. So in 2000, from 1995 to 2000, Windows ME. So if we're going back to ME, so if we're going back to 2000, this is what it would look like. So it didn't really change a whole lot. But as we got to Windows XP, or as I like to call it, Windows Codename Whistler. Uh, Windows Whistler, to be honest. You can see that this has changed. This has changed quite a lot. So you can see it's a two column layer, and you can see that it's apparent when you get to the development cycle of Windows XP, which was codenamed Whistler at this time. You can see that they redesigned almost everything here. They still kept the traditional start menu, but as time went on, they changed the design to look more like Windows XP. So yeah, so that was the biggest change throughout its history. So you can see that Windows XP kind of took a brand new look for the start menu. Then as we got into the control panel, we got to see that as well. So a lot of things didn't change until like in 2001, and I think the next one was Windows Vista. So this like it's a two-column layout. With the one column with the all your programs and stuff, and then there's a whole list of things that you can do, like your computer folder and the control panel, all your essential settings essentially. So it didn't change until like Windows 8. So Vista was a one other big change as well. But if we look at Windows 7 here, it didn't change at all. You can see that this is kind of the same, even though it has the shutdown here at the bottom. But it didn't really change a whole lot, other than it kind of resembles a little bit of Windows Vista. But it didn't change until like Windows 8. That's where the reception was very bad. Even Windows Vista had this, where it had like poor reception. But it wasn't until this um, that we started to see big changes, and people were getting mad that we had to use this interface, the start screen, instead of the start button or the start menu, because we were so used to the start menu since 1995. So it was kind of different for everybody to get used to a interface that was completely different from what we know from Windows 7 and backward. But then we get to here today. We get here with the change of the uh sorry about this. I didn't want to do that. But we get to this, which is the start menu of today, even though it kind of looks like the start screen. It kind of retains some elements of the start menu. So uh so it's kind of changed over time, and with Windows 11, it kind of changed quite a bit of things. So that's kind of like the history of it too. Oh, so you can see that, and also the control panel kind of changed as well. So like I said, the control panel, this control panel. So this is the control panel for 95. So this is what it looks like. Then we get to Windows 98. Virtually no change at all, other than like more icons and a little bit more tools here. So that's kind of the biggest change we got here. And then it wasn't until like XP like I said, that you know it, it didn't change until then, even though Windows Millennium Edition was more colorful. It just didn't change anything at all other than having this row of icons here. But it wasn't until it wasn't until like XP that, like I said before, we didn't see any graphical changes until like XP, where we saw the interface change quite a lot. And then we didn't see like the properties tab until like this stage of Windows history. So we didn't really see any of this. So we so you can see pick a category, so that's what it is essentially. But yeah, it didn't really change until like Windows Vista, I believe. Vista changed the control panel quite a bit. In development builds, it changed quite a bit. Even though it kind of looked like Windows XP a little bit, it, it started to kind of take shape of what Vista's control panel was going to look like. So this is what it is, essentially. Then, this is what it is now. So, classic view, I don't think you can get the normal view, but this is the normal view in Windows Vista. We just we can go to the we can go to the classic control panel, or we can go to this, which is the control panel that isn't probably now in modern systems of today, which I'm running Windows 10 actually. But you can see how much that changed over time and stuff like that. But like I said, you know, it didn't change quite a lot until like maybe XP. So XP did really change what it is, since it was kind of a new era of things. So um that's kind of where I'm at with this. So you can kind of tell that that it just changed over time. And I really I really would like I really just think that the Windows that looking back, it kind of surprises me a little bit that we just saw the star menu and the taskbar and everything else that we know develop over time. And we have the interface here too. So I have my files here, but you can see that it's kind of crazy to think that it's kind of almost changed, like almost every version that we go through. Windows 11 changed its interface, is if you can see. I'm gonna put Windows 11. Windows 11. So you can see this is like the current operating system, and you can see that it's changed quite a bit. So yeah, it kind of looks kind of strange, considering that the start menu is not over here like it is in Windows 10, because it should have been that way, but apparently I guess Microsoft decided to put it at this way where I'm pointing my cursor right now. But you can see how that has changed. And I want to kind of go into the reception of Windows operating systems. So the first couple of operating systems, so Windows 95 to XP, were pretty good, except for Windows Millennium Edition, since that did gain bad reception because, well, it it was probably the first that gained bad reception. So do Windows Vista reception. So I'm gonna show you kind of like a little ad here. So we're gonna do a Windows Vista ad. We're gonna do a Mac versus a Windows ad. So as you can see, I'm gonna kind of show you this.
Hello on the Mac.
Okay, I'm gonna mute this, and you can see here. So you can see there's the Get a Mac ad, and you can see that there's people, just talking about the different things that Mac has and making fun of Vista. If you can see up there, there's the Vista thing up there in the video. There it is right there. And in this ad they're kind of making fun of Windows Vista, since Windows Vista was in critical reception at this time. People kind of hated it, and they had a reason to hate it actually, since it kind of was flawed from the very beginning, since its development back in 2001, which the development was kind of like really wonky, to be honest, and you know it was really just there was really just no direction when it came to honestly developing Vista, since developers didn't know what to do. Even testers, beta testers and stuff, and people like that didn't know where to take at the time. It was called Longhorn, codename Longhorn, and they didn't know where to take the the they didn't know where to take Longhorn development to. So they it kind of was like they had no direction in terms of what they wanted Longhorn to look like. So it's kind of just like it's really weird thinking that it's Vista now, and Longhorn could have had a lot of potential, but you know Microsoft, the corporation, decided to screw things up, and that's how it is. And, it ultimately failed in the end. And it ended production, not production. It ended support back in 2000, back in 2017, like about a decade after. So that was something. So that was something. But you get it. But I have to say, but I have to say, with their next line of operating systems, Vista did terrible, and 7 was good in its own right, and people praise Windows 7 because it 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 just improved what Vista couldn't do really essentially, and it just improved quite a bit of things, and you know that's how it went. And then as like Windows 7 came out in 2009, and they started working on development for Windows 8, the next one. I think it was right before. I can't remember, but um they developed Windows 8, and they made it this big release, and what happened? It kind of brought many bad reception through it, and that's kind of how it always goes with it. So it kind of just didn't do its job like it needed to. There we go. My computer was about to die there. So you get it, Windows 8 didn't really got really bad reception because of the start screen. And like I said before, people didn't really know what to do with that. And they wanted to go into the future. Microsoft wanted to go into the future. And it's really just like, why did Microsoft take that approach? I gotta understand, like, what approach did Microsoft want to achieve with this? Like I get you want to get into like the touch based devices. I get you want to go into the future of like tablet and stuff, you know, the company was known for their desktop operating systems, laptop operating systems, and just they wanted to go to a different route, and it was just a really weird time, and it's kind of weird, and I I really could say the same about 11, and I could really say that with probably Windows 10, the current operating system that I have now. But um, but that's kind of how I feel, and I have some articles here that I would really like to show you. Um, we're probably gonna start off with the Windows 8 review from The Verge, and I'm gonna kind of read this out to you, so you can see that we have a little overview. So 8 was kind of like a rebirth, a reimagining of Windows and the entire Microsoft brand. And it was the riskiest project. And um as you can see that you can see that when that it really didn't take what it wanted from the last system. So the most striking changes to Microsoft's new operating system open as soon as you first switch on a Windows 8 PC. I mean, yes, it was surprisingly fast, and yes, it was pretty fast, but essentially there are a variety of ways to purchase Windows 8. So there was like So you could say that it was from the beginning. So XP did the same, Vista did the same, 7 did the same as well. Um, it did the same where it had different editions. Instead of like one being for consumers and one being for professionals, it started to get different editions. So you can say that. Yeah. A Microsoft account. So a Microsoft account, it was forced in Windows 11 and then Windows 10. Windows 8, I would have to say, did make kind of great use with it. So I kind of commend it for that. But essentially, like, all the things aside, this was kind of bad, to be honest. The UI, the charms, and the navigation. Yeah, it took many elements from Windows Phone design. So it was kind of just really, really more for like the touch based users, like with an iPad or something like this. So as you can see, it's kind of like more for like these types of devices. Like you can see, I'm holding up this. Yeah, you can see that it was more based for this touch screen, since you could touch on different things. So yeah, that it was made for more of that. And it introduced the Microsoft Store, which is kind of like the Microsoft Windows version of the App Store. I really just don't understand why we have to we have to just get things on the Microsoft Store. It was terrible. I find it really terrible. It's just an app store with nothing really going for it other than it tries to mimic the App Store. So it kind of is a fail. Um, yeah, I'm gonna kind of skim this through. So yeah, there was a steep learning curve. Yeah, so you can say that it was kind of like a mixed reception of this, and then they got apps in the Windows Store. I told you guys about that, and then IE10 was redesigned for touch. So you can say that this was really just Windows Phone or Windows Touch on a desktop, which didn't really work that well, to be honest. I've I mean, it did bring some great things like the Xbox to Windows, but I gotta I gotta be honest, like Windows 8 didn't really look that good from the beginning. If you can see the pictures, so like if you can see these pictures of like the start menu and the graphical interface here, it really didn't have a clear direction. It really just didn't have a clear direction. And I get it. They wanted to favor with touch based devices, but it's really just more for iPads, iPhones, and I don't need and I don't understand. Like we as consumers don't really need a operating system that tries to mimic what an iPad and or a phone can do. Like we have Android and iOS for that for a reason. we don't need we don't need a Windows trying to mimic that at all. So it's kind of just really questionable. Like it's kind of really questionable what they got here. And I get it. The clock was pretty cool. I still use the clock, and it's pretty cool just to see your time and stuff like that. Notifications and lock screen. It was really good at this time. A colorful design. I changed it quite a few times. Um, a notification system. It was really good. So the desktop, you can see. So there was like a couple versions. So you can see. So yeah, you can see the good and bad. It's a steep learning curve, and it's kind of awkward to control. No true windowing on Windows 8 style apps full screen. So you can see that there's like a lot of bad and a little bit of good. But honestly, I think the bad outweighs the good. Honestly, I really don't think Windows 8 was good in that regard. And I could probably say the same with Windows 10, but Windows 10 did improve quite a lot since it did give back the the start menu, which is this, but it kind of looks like more like a interface, like a menu slash start screen. But at least it's an improvement. But that's kind of the only thing I can see here. Um, but yeah. So Windows 10 did gain pretty positive reception, and at first, back in like 2015, so this was like years ago, I would say, and you could get this for free when you got Windows 7 and Windows 8, given that you had like a legit licensed copy of 7 and of Windows 7 and 8. But I guess most people had licensed copies of 8 and 7 because that's how it should be. But like I said, it for the first year, I assume, was Windows was the free upgrade. So the first year, like um 2015 to maybe 2016. So back in like June. So from June 2015 to June 2016, I think, was when it ended. And there was a lot of good things to say about it. Support lasts longer. Uh, you know, I mean the cost is really expensive, but with what you get with it, it's pretty good. And it's really good for gaming too. But I still kind of think it's really just reminiscent 8, and then um, just the fact that it did not do really good. It just made things that we really wanted back in Windows, that we wanted back since like Windows 8. And we wanted like a start screen. No, not a start screen, a start menu. And we wanted kind of easier ways to kind of just go from place to place without like needing to just get help. And support lasts longer, and just a lot of things that were done right. But you can see that it gained positive reception. It had fast startup, and it booted up things much faster. And it has really good options for gaming, and it did have touchscreen support like it did in 8. And it had an intuitive interface, but it still uses like many things from 8. And then along with that, it since Windows 11 took over, it doesn't receive as much updates, which I can kind of understand, since Windows 11 was kind of their bread and butter of an operating system at this point. So it's kind of does make sense, and it's the most popular operating system. Well, Windows 11 wasn't, but Windows 10 definitely the is the popular operating system between people. Yeah, so it was kind of really lackluster at the time, but I got many things to say about Windows 11. Windows 11, I gotta say, at first I mean, it was a good operating system. On paper, it's a good operating system, but when you compare it to something like um 7 or 10, you gotta understand that 11. I know we took many things from 10, and I know we took many things from 8, but you gotta understand that 11, I feel like 11 didn't really do much in terms of the next major operating system. And honestly, I gotta say, the first thing that kind of comes to mind. So if I go to my settings here, I'm gonna go to my settings. If there's one thing that kind of mystifies me the most, it's this: the PC doesn't currently meet the minimum requirements to run Windows 11. So this is the first thing that one talks about, the minimum system requirements. And it's kind of true, because this PC doesn't really support Windows 11, and you have to have certain requirements in order for you to get the latest operating system here. But um, but it did come standard with the new PC though too. But um, but one of the things that mystifies me the most is the apps. I don't know how much I can tell you, but one of these days, so I was here, God. I'm gonna talk about a little story here. Um, so I'm currently in college, and I've been for about like 2 weeks, and the first day um was 10 days ago, and when I got a new computer to when I got a new computer, I got a new computer that was pre-installed with Windows 11, and I kind of I was I was gonna get a new app there because I needed a app for a class that I was taking, which was as you can see on the screen, Adobe Photoshop, because I was taking a class for Adobe Photoshop, and I cannot tell you how hard it was to get Adobe to run on my on my PC, since I'm not too familiar with Windows 11. Which it is the first time I ever seen the damn system. I, it was just an experience that I felt like it was hard, and I know I'm familiar with computer and stuff, but I I wanted to get the Adobe the Adobe Creative Cloud, and it wouldn't really give me a choice to get it because there was a little setting on the on Windows 11. If you had the home version, where I have Windows 10 Home and I have Windows 11 Home, and Windows 11 Home, with the feature that it had the S edition, S, which is kind of like a security thing that it has, and I had to find the S the S the thing that enables the S thing, and I had to find it in the settings. It was hard, and I had to find a tutorial to even get to download the Adobe Creative Cloud, and you know I it was hard to do it because it had a requirement where the you can only download Microsoft certified apps, which you had to go and use the terrible Microsoft store to go and do that. So it was really hard to do that, and that was really hard on me, and it was terrible. It was a terrible experience. If Microsoft didn't really do this sort of thing, honestly, I wouldn't be talking about this. And just the fact that I've supported Windows for so long, it's kind of been like this for quite a while, and just things. And when I first wanted to do when I first signed up when I first got the computer with it, it had me create a Microsoft account. I think I created like a Microsoft account with my email, and I I I didn't know, like, it was going through the process of just like getting the Microsoft Office apps, and it was kind of really just it really was just kind of weird, since I didn't really know what I was going into. And that's kind of the thing that mystifies me the most. Like, why should I have to sign up for a Microsoft account to use this? Why? Why can't I just use like what I just used in Windows 10? Like that's not anything else. Um, yeah. The start menu, like I said, it was terrible. Um, you know, I kind of liked how even though the start menu in 10 wasn't really that good to begin with. Oh God, it's starting to get long here. I'm gonna end this quite soon, but you can see that it's kind of something that I really didn't know at this point. But um, yeah, it some things were less helpful in 11. Many things were basically not usable, and and the latest Windows forces you to use many things. There's just a lot of things that Windows 11 didn't really do, and it's just it's just what was Microsoft thinking at this point? And looking at this article, I could see kind of why with like these 10 things, because I gotta be honest, what went through Microsoft's minds? What went through what went through their minds when doing this? This is just really really bad to be honest with you, and I think it is time, like I don't understand why 11 needed to be made. And Microsoft back in like 2014, I think 2015, 2014 I think is when they announced this that Windows 10 was going to be the last version. Where was that? And then we get Windows 11. Windows 11, and it was kind of a crappy storm when it hit, and just it boggles my mind. It just boggles my mind, like why things needed to be like this. And I know I'm going on a rant here, but you get my point. But uh, it's not to say that I don't like Windows. I still like Windows. And I like their operating systems. Their operating systems are gonna be one of a kind to me, and just I really just think that Microsoft needs to improve their operating system before they can do anything. It's common sense. Okay. I am going to end this stream. I want to thank you, everyone, who went on this stream and did and came in and done. And I want to thank everyone who came to the stream because honestly, without your guys' support, this wouldn't have been possible. So I know I did get kind of in a ramble. I know And because this is kind of like a topic I really don't know what to talk about. It's kind of just really different for me. But I really I really thank you guys regardless for joining, because there's things that I really don't know about this, and you know there's things I want to learn, and um, Windows operating systems is not something that I really talk about, but I really wanted to talk about this today. But I just want to thank everybody for coming here for like about 55 minutes. It's about like 11:26 right now here. So I'd like to thank everyone for coming here and for doing the best they can to um to support me. So um until next time, everyone, see you guys later.